All right, so we got what would happen if each faction won Warhammer 40K lore. Make sure you guys check out weshammer in the description down below. Let's get right into it.
The universe of Warhammer 40K is defined
What
by
up, Wes?
conflict, where each and every faction fights tooth and claw to claim ultimate victory and seize the galaxy for themselves.
True.
Now, unfortunately for them, this franchise is one where no individual faction can ever truly win everything. If they did, the whole thing would be over, and James' Workshop would be out of a job.
I mean, well, let's just keep it real. Wait, is this the guy that like owns like Games Workshop, or is he like the? I mean, I don't know. But listen, let me tell you guys something. Obviously, let's keep it real. Like, bro, it's just really evident that Games Workshop had to nerf the salamanders. Because if I'm just keeping it completely real with you, man, the salamanders, man, they would beat everybody. I'm just saying.
And he's not going to let that happen anytime soon. But what if the impossible actually did happen? What if one of the major factions actually managed to win?
Okay.
And I'm not talking about just winning some major battle here or there. I mean, they won the Warhammer 40K.
Ooh.
All of their enemies were wiped out, and they finally managed to plant themselves as the galaxy's supreme overlord.
So basically, he's saying that he's basically saying like the vintage early 2007 New England Patriots, besides like the Super Bowl loss. Okay.
Well, in this video, we're going to be breaking down what the galaxy would look like if each faction managed to emerge victorious.
No, didn't they win in 2007?
So you're aware, this video is going to be getting into some wildly speculative territory, so
okay.
Make sure you strap on your tinfoil hats before you dive in, and take everything with a grain of salt.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about what would happen if the Necrons won, and how that would look radically different depending upon who's in charge.
The Salamanders too?
Silent King or Imhotep the Stormlord. And spoiler warning, only one of their paths ends in a happy ending.
Oh, wow.
We're going to be talking about what life would be like for mankind as part of the Tau Empire, and what would happen if chaos managed to merge the warp and the physical universe.
Oh, wowzers.
We're even going to talk about how mankind's ultimate victory would lead the species to ascend into something both unrecognizable and also kind of tragic.
Okay.
We're going to be talking about all that and a whole lot more in this video. But before we dive headfirst into the Grimdark, if you couldn't tell, I'm a huge fan of classic fantasy.
Oh, he paying bills.
It's probably one of the main reasons why I find 40K so endearing.
Weshammer gotta pay bills. I understand that.
Reimagined in the Grimdark future.
Let me see.
Whether that be dwarves, demons, elves, beastmen, or even the undead.
Uh-huh.
Recently, I've been playing this awesome game that's got all of them in spades.
Yo, Wes, listen, brother, pay your bills. I'm not mad at you at all. Yo, get your bag off. Now listen, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel. I got twitch.tv/community with 2 Y's on the screen. Just in case you guys need help. But if you want to go directly to my Twitch channel, it's in the description down below. And if you guys are not subscribed, bro, subscribe right now, bro. And yeah, let's get right back to it.
Is that Raid Shadow Legends is partnering with Universal products and experiences, and
hey, this man, hey, Wes paying bills. I respect it.
Legendary champions from November 25th until December 25th. Everybody can unlock Skeletor for free.
I've never played Raid Shadow Legends before, actually. Yo, Raid Shadow Legends, if you want to hit my line, you can.
November 25th and January 8th. You'll unlock Skeletor on day 7.
Why not?
The next 7 days. Players who manage to complete the Champion Pass will also get the legendary champion He-Man. If you haven't started playing Raid yet, then what are you waiting for? Click on my link in the description or scan my QR code to get insane bonuses that you can only get using my link. When you sign up using my link, you will immediately get a huge
I don't mind like a YouTuber paying bills. I don't mind it. Listen, I pay bills just like them. Hey, pay your bills, bro. Get your bag off. All right, listen, I'm not mad.
From the Dwarves faction.
It is what it is. All right, listen.
After downloading using my link, you can use promo code MonkeyCamp.
Hey, it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the sponsorship. It's a win for West Ham, and it's a win for me, and it's a win for you guys for the entertainment, bro. We're all winning.
Big thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring
Raid Shadow Legends.
Special thanks to Universal Studios licensing. Now back to the Grimdark.
Let's go, man. The Tyranids. Oh, sorry, my bad. The termites. So we got the termites first up.
Even though the Tyranids are often depicted in the stories as being horrifyingly alien and completely unknowable, when it comes to what they would do if they won, we know exactly what would happen without a shadow of a doubt. They would eat everything.
I swear to the goat above. I was in my head, bro, I swear to you, bro. I swear on my life. In my head, I was like, bro, they're gonna eat
every man, woman, and child. All would be boiled down into biomass and used to make even more Tyranids. And we even know what would happen after this because of how the Tyranids showed up in our galaxy in the first place. Something that was covered in the epilogue of the novel Pharaohs. Once the galaxy is left as a cold graveyard of dead worlds, and there's nothing left for them to consume, the Tyranid winter will begin. the hive mind will issue a command across all of its hive fleets to retreat back into the outer dark and enter a period of hibernation. All of the hive fleets are going to head in different directions, and once they exit from the galactic rim, they'll shut down everything but the most vital of life-preserving functions in order to make their gathered biomass last for as long as possible.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't even know that the termites had like hibernation. I mean, to be honest with you, all these guys do is eat. So it's about time their stomach need a break. But like, bro, I did not know that the termites had hibernation. That's crazy.
Then, while they sleep, their long-range augury systems will begin to scan distant galaxies for the telltale markers of prey. It'll likely be tens or maybe even hundreds of thousands of years.
Yo, these insects want new flavors. They said, bro, we got tired of eating the same thing every day, bro. Let's go over to different worlds and different galaxies to taste them. I know that sounds crazy, but this is what the termites do. I mean, it is what it is.
Before a new target is located. But eventually, the Tyranid sensory organs will pick up small bursts of light, indicative of intelligent life in a distant galaxy. Once this is discovered, they will slowly begin to exit out of their dormant state and head in that direction.
Look at him. Look at him. Y'all see him? Look at him right here. Finger licking good. Look at him. He just got done eating he just got done eating a KFC. Look at him. Oh man, bro. He just got done eating a family, bro. And I know that sounds crazy, but this is what the termites do, bro. And look at him. Hey, I'm sorry, brother. I'm sorry. And I feel so sorry for the kids as well, bro. But this little thing right here will not do nothing about it. He got about, what, 20 arms? He got like 5 mouths. This is just his main mouth right here. Man, it's over, man. It is over, especially for him. Oh, yeah, bro. He like a, bro, this man is like a, he's like a life-size Scooby snack. It's over for him, bro. It's over for this entire fam, bro. Don't even, bro, listen, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. And I just mean it from the bottom of my heart. Bro, if I was on this planet, bro, I'd be far gone. I'd be on a spaceship somewhere. I'd be floating in space like the Wiz Pig from Diddy Kong Racing. I'd be out of here, bro. There's no way I'm going to be fighting my way. Like, you know, I'll try to fight my way for survival. Bro, I'm going to be honest with you. These little termites, they know every which way, and every which way. They know every single, bro, they just keep going. They don't even stop to move. I've never seen the termites stop and move. Like, they don't stop and think. They just keep going. Man, they will search every single house until all the humans are not even humans, until all the species of that planet, it's gone. Like, these guys are like, they eat anything. Like, the termites are ruthless.
Once they arrive, they will unleash the same alien terror that they brought to the Milky Way.
Munch.
The whole process will repeat again. Now, as horrible as a Tyranid victory would be for the Milky Way, there is at least some good news.
Okay.
In the novel Belisarius' Call, The Great Work, it was revealed to us that although the Tyranids leave practically nothing behind, and even scrub a planet of water, minerals, and natural resources, they are for the most part surface feeders and don't dig too deeply into the planet's crust before moving on, meaning that on many of these planets, microbial life will still exist. So give or take a couple of billion years, and the galaxy will be good as new, with all kinds of new species and intelligent life forms.
Bro, I'm not going to be alive. What do you mean a couple billion years? Brother, I'm not going to be alive. I'm not going to be here. Bro, like, listen, I'm a human. I got, what, 90, if I'm lucky, 100 years tops. Bro, like, I'll be dead. Like, what do we...
to inhabit it. That is, of course, until somebody blows something else up like the Pharaohs again, and they start drifting back in our direction.
Uh-oh. The Necrons. Yo, don't these guys, like, sip on oil and stuff like that? Do they even, like, eat or what? Like, what's with these guys?
Now, if it's the Necrons that end up coming out on top and achieve total victory,
okay,
then one of two things is going to occur, and it's based on who ends up being in charge of them. Either Zarek, the Silent King, or Imhotep, the Stormlord. The two most likely candidates in such a scenario. In either case, after the Necrons win, their dynasties are going to begin to spread out and start seizing up more territory for themselves. After the last of their enemy strongholds have been destroyed, and there's nothing left to challenge their rule, a period of infighting amongst the dynasties is likely to occur. Necrons are a proud and arrogant race, many of their pharaohs believing themselves superior to their peers. Without a supreme ruler to bind them, endless civil war is surely to follow. And that's where those two previously mentioned individuals come in. Many people believe that the Silent King is the supreme ruler of the Necrons, and although that was true during the days of the War in Heaven 60 million years ago, a lot has changed since he went into self-imposed exile and only recently returned to the Milky Way. In the time that he's been gone, others have risen in his place, and Imhotep, pharaoh of the Sawtek dynasty, views the Silent King as a relic from a bygone era that has no right to continue existing.
Oh,
For
wow.
his part, the Sawtek dynasty is easily the largest and most powerful, largely due to the fact that they use their strength to conquer not only their enemies, but also other Necron dynasties. The pharaohs of these dynasties are given a choice: bend a knee and assimilate into the Sawtek, or refuse and be executed.
I mean, I mean, when you look at it that way, I mean, okay. I was about to say, like I was about to say 2 seconds ago, that if you look at it that way, that's not really a choice. I mean, but to be honest with you, that is a choice. To be honest with you, bro, I mean, here's the thing. Whenever it comes down to me, I have unlimited choices. Like, I could just, like, sit right here and just be Batman. And, like, while you're talking to me, like, going over the choices and stuff like that, I can legit, like, devise a plan, like, you know, in mid-time, you know, to get out of that situation. You know, I could, you know, only, you know, that I can only do that. But, you know, to, like, the average person, yeah, bro, they only got a choice. It's either, bro, you know, it's either like, you know, you bend the knee and you forfeit and you give up your manhood, or you die. So
Only for your dynasty to then be absorbed anyways. Now, don't get me wrong, the Silent King is incredibly powerful and wields a considerable amount of influence amongst the Necrons, but he isn't exactly popular with everybody. He was the one that made the deal with the Khorne to initiate biotransference in the first place. Many Necrons view everything that has happened to them as entirely his fault.
Ooh.
And while he was away in exile feeling sad about what he had done, Imhotep was actually there. He's a ruthless and brutal son of a but at least he's been here with his people. Unfortunately, we still haven't seen both of these dudes go head-to-head in any of the novels, so until Games Workshop gets around to developing their feud a bit more and give us a bit more insight into this, I'm gonna say it's about a 50-50 shot on who ends up being in charge after the Necrons win.
fair.
But from humanity's perspective, that ultimately doesn't really matter. It's gonna be a bad time either way. But at least with the Silent King, there will be something of a happy ending, at least for the Necrons. With Imhotep, however, not so much. And this comes down to a difference in philosophy.
Ooh, man, I know this is Thanksgiving for, bro. Man, the Tyranids, bro. This is Thanksgiving to them. Bro, I don't even know what this catastrophe is, but bro, man, they would munch this up in 2 seconds. They wouldn't even have enough time to say grace. Oh, man.
The Silent King wants to reverse the process of biotransference, likely by using a host species that the Necrons can download their consciousness into. By doing this, they could pick up where they left off 60 million years ago.
Bro, it's like a, bro, it's like a memory card. Bro, you guys remember back in the day, Nintendo 64 with the memory cards? This is basically what it's like. That's legit. Basically, that's crazy.
Using their deathless bodies to secure the galaxy for themselves,
that's
and
crazy.
then discarding them once they are in control. Because living hosts would be required for this, and a flesh and blood species would have need for plants, animals, and things like that in order to sustain themselves, the galaxy would likely remain much as it is now, and be completely full of life. Sentient species that oppose the Necrons' rule would ultimately be subjugated or maybe even exterminated, but primitive species would be likely ignored. However, by contrast, Imhotep goes in the complete...
I can't lie to you. This is hard. I don't know what they used to create this, but this looks absolutely fire. Look at this. This is crazy. I just had to point that out. Sorry about that.
opposite direction. He views their mechanical immortal bodies as an improvement over organics in every conceivable way. He does not view biotransference as a curse. Far from it. He believes it is what led them to their ascendancy. Because of this, he would have no wish to reverse the process. Under his rule, the galaxy would become a kingdom of the dead. All life, down to the microbial level, would be eradicated without mercy. The Milky Way would be cold and dark, every world dominated by towering ziggurats and mechanical horrors beyond comprehension. But what comes after all this? Well, I have a particularly dark theory that I would like to put forward, and it concerns the Flare virus. Now, in early Warhammer lore, the thing that turned the Necrons into Flayed Ones was viewed as a semi-spiritual data virus that came from one of the Khorne known as the Flare. It would infect the Necrons and cause them to go insane. They would start hungering for flesh and would even drape the skin of their victims around their metallic frames in hopes of emulating what they once were. The only problem was that when it came to eating all of that flesh, they didn't actually have mouths to eat it with. They were akin to hungry ghosts, an entity lost to madness that just fell deeper and deeper into a well of insanity with every passing century of their immortal life. In more recent lore, i.e. the Twice Dead King series, it was suggested that the flare virus is not a virus at all. It is the true inherent fate of all Necrons, that they will all eventually turn into one of these things. Whether it's something that just inevitably happens to each and every Necron, or it spreads like a plague after the Necron total victory, ultimately, it doesn't really matter. Since at this point all organics would have been destroyed, the Silent King's dream of reversing biotransference is now utterly and completely dead. Since the Necrons still have no way of repopulating, they'll all eventually become a flayed one. It may take tens of thousands of years for this to occur, but make no mistake, if Imhotep becomes the supreme overlord of not only the Necrons, but the entire galaxy, one day he will watch as their dynasties crumble and the Milky Way becomes inhabited by hungry ghosts, crazed entities desperate to consume the flesh of organic creatures that all died out thousands of years ago, leading to an endless age of madness and insanity. Can you imagine what this would look like to somebody visiting from another galaxy? Like, they touch down on a planet and they're clearly seeing signs of ancient civilizations, but they must have all died out a long time ago. They're like, well, sucks for them, but hey, free real estate for us. This place just needs a new coat of paint and it could be a brand new home for us. And then an entire galaxy of flayed ones, literal mountains of them, start ripping portals across space and time and descending upon them. And they're like, Jesus Christ! So yeah, total Necron victory isn't going to be good for humans, no matter who ends up as their supreme leader, but at least with the Silent King, is somebody will get a happy ending.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, my precious, sweet, glorious Lord. Oh, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I don't hate the orcs or nothing like that. It's just like they're just like big meatheads. Like, bro, that's like, I don't know. And like, I don't mean like to judge a book by its cover, but I mean, I pretty much know like somewhat about them and stuff like that. Like, all they do is fight or whatever, and I can respect that. It's just, I don't know. It's something about the orcs, like, I don't know. It lacks something, you know. It lacks a little like pizzazz. Like, great, you like to fight. You guys can like regenerate a lot of whatever. You guys are strong. It's just like they lack something. I don't know what it is. It's something. I don't know. It just rubs me the wrong way a little bit. But like, listen, not to the point to where like, you know, I can't sleep at night or something like that. Obviously, like, it's a, come on, like it's not that serious. But at the same time, like, I don't know.
Now, it's certainly not going to be fun for anybody else, but if the orcs manage to achieve total victory, they're going to have a great time.
Oh,
the
we know.
galaxy is going to become one big chaotic and violent playground, dominated by warring orc clans. Now, at first, they're just going to have fun hunting down the last remnants of power from every other major faction, either exterminating them outright or taking them as slaves. However, after they've run out of enemies to fight, the orcs are going to do what they always do.
Fight each other.
Boredom takes hold.
Fight each
They're
other.
going to turn on each other and start warring among. The natural ecosystem after this will completely collapse and will be replaced by orc biomes. As the clans wage war across the galaxy, each and every planet will become absolutely saturated in orc spores. They will spread like a plague until every surface is teeming with orcoid life, be they the birthing pods of new boys, squigs, Gretchen, or feral orcs.
Oh,
All
no.
technology in the galaxy will be scavenged and orcified. The mech
Oh,
boys creating
God.
ever more bizarre and unstable contraptions, some going as far as turning entire star systems into massive malfunctioning engines of war.
Oh,
now, I
hell
know this
no.
part is going to come completely out of left field, and I recognize that, but just hear me out. As demonstrated in the War of the Beast, the more orcs gather together, the smarter they collectively become. With the orc population now completely out of control, I think we may enter a period where the orcs start to revert back to their previous form. That is to say, they'll revert back to the khorks, the 30 foot
Oh, the big guys, huh? I did hear about that. There, wait, okay. I don't know if it was Major Kill or if it was Weshammer, but I did hear that. Because if you guys don't know, the orcs were actually, they were like, you know, they were really big or whatever. And then like over time, they got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. I did hear about that. And then I think I heard of something about, and I don't know if this is from Major Kill or Weshammer, that like in like due time that it'll like reverse and they'll just get bigger, 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 bigger.
Super intelligent life forms from back during the days of the War in Heaven. After this point, they may even reach a point somehow beyond that, as the galaxy becomes completely dominated by khorks. If such a thing takes place, I think it's reasonable to believe that these super khorks would be able to develop technology that allows them to travel to distant galaxies, thus entering a dark new era for the universe.
Oh,
a
Lord.
never-ending war that spreads out to all of reality.
Oh, no.
It's my belief, however, that due to the inherent need for conflict within the orc species, it's unlikely that they would all join forces and head to a new galaxy together. Likely, they would each go off in different directions, much like what would happen with the Tyranids. Hundreds of thousands of galaxies would suddenly have orcs entering into them.
Oh, no.
And by the time they got there, they would have spent a considerable amount of time away from the combined Wa, thus leading to the super intelligence from before slowly reverting back to the orcs we know today. In conclusion, if the orcs win, they'll end up doing the same thing they've always done, but in a new place in a new time. Honestly, it would be hilarious if this is actually something that already happened, and Warhammer Fantasy and Age of Sigmar are actually sequels to Warhammer 40K.
The Tua Empire. Oh, yeah, these guys. Oh, no, the Tau. It's the Tau. I said Tua. The Tau Empire. Oh, man, my reading is a little bit crazy.
When you start reading about Warhammer is that there are no good guys in this setting. The second thing that you learn...
Well, I mean, well, Wes, you know you're my guy. The Salamanders are absolutely amazing, great guys. You know, if you don't really know about them, it's fine. You know, I can see like a few books or whatever. But like the Salamanders, bro, are they are like the they're the example of what great, perfect men are. You know, so and I'm a part of it. So you know, I just wanted to know. You know, and Wes, you know, if you didn't know, it's fine, bro. It's okay, bro. Like.
That's not really true. The Tau are arguably pretty nice and cool dudes. The third thing that you learn is that that's also not true. The Ethereals are up to some shady shit, and the greater good gives peace in exchange for freedom.
Okay.
All that being said, the Tau rising to power and wiping everybody else out is probably the best case scenario for the Milky Way galaxy.
Huh?
At least if we're talking in terms of total faction victory. They're a faction that, shockingly, actually values peaceful relationships and diplomacy with other Xenos species, an extreme rarity in the grimdark future where everybody hates each other. Their philosophy of the greater good preaches a lot of things, but primarily, it's that every action one takes should do the most good for the most people. Concepts like the self, individualism, personal greed, etc., are all massive taboos under this philosophy. If the Tau were able to take over the galaxy, they would spread this message to every intelligent species. They would end up uniting the Milky Way under their banners, and instead of war, would prioritize harmony, efficiency, and technological advancement.
Okay.
Unfortunately, some species are inherently too dangerous to be allowed to exist, so the orcs and the Tyranids would be eradicated without mercy.
You know what? Hey, you know what? Hey, yo, Tau, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I kind of like y'all, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm on the same wavelength, bro. We got to get the orcs out of here. The termites, we got to get them out of here as well. Okay, hey, you know what? Yo, the Tau Empire? Okay, I like that.
Necrons, the Eldar, and humanity would be folded into the Tau Empire, but all of their powerful technology would be confiscated or dismantled. The same scenario is likely for many of the newly inducted species, but we'll...
Okay, how do you guys feel about that? Because the Tau Empire, they're like, yo, you know what? Like, we're gonna, like, you guys are gonna be, like, a part of, like, our crew or whatever, but, like, a lot of the technology you guys, that you guys are building, whatever, we gotta get rid of that. How do you guys feel about that? To be honest with you, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, though, in order for your society to grow, like, you kind of need, like, you know, new technology, you know, just new ways to do things. You know, I feel like you shouldn't really destroy it, but at the same time, you should like okay, things like, I feel like if technology gets out of control, oh yeah, you gotta destroy it. You gotta get rid of it, especially if it gets out of control or whatever. Like it gets out of your hands, even though it technically is your fault because you created it. But like, you know, if they can keep like the PCs and the PlayStation 5s and the Xboxes and the Nintendo Switch and stuff like that, and keep the electricity on and stuff like that, okay, I dig that. But like all the other like AI robots coming through to destroy, you know, you and stuff like that, yeah, you can get rid of those. Yeah,
Focus on the human perspective,
Yeah.
just to keep things
get rid of
simple.
them.
The Imperium would be completely
This ain't Detroit become human. Yeah, get rid of them.
dismantled. Its bureaucracy and religious institutions would be incompatible with the ideals of the Tau Empire. Now, that being said, for the humans that would join them, portions of their culture and religious practices would be allowed to continue to exist,
Oh,
as the Tau do believe
nice.
in respecting the ancestral traditions of their allies. That being said, elements that their new overlords deem problematic, such as the former Imperial Creed's whole suffer not the alien to live thing, would be meticulously censored. Many Imperial citizens would see becoming part of the Tau Empire as a good thing and would happily comply, whereas others would attempt to rebel. Troublesome individuals like this would be sent to re-education camps and be fed a never-ending barrage of greater good propaganda until they could be brought back into compliance. Regardless of what is or isn't allowed, over the millennia, human culture would begin to erode and be forgotten. It may take an incredibly long time for this to happen, but eventually humanity would fully assimilate, and the Imperium would become nothing but a distant memory. Now, all of the new species being folded in would be forced into the Tau's rigid social structure. This would entail the suppression of individuality and the stifling of personal freedom. Autonomy and tradition would be sacrificed in the name of homogenization. As I mentioned before, this is an element that would lead to dissatisfaction and potential rebellions, which in turn will cause the Tau Empire to bring down the hammer, making an example out of all those who refuse to accept the greater good. In many ways, humanity would end up trading the leash of one master for another.
You know what? I think as I get older, I start to understand like scenarios like that, to where if stuff gets out of line, you kind of have to like make that thing an example. You get what I'm saying? Like you ever like, you guys ever get like, you know, because like when you're younger, you're like, bro, like what? Like let them be free. Like what are you doing? Like da 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 da. Like let them do whatever they want. But then as you get older, you're like, okay, maybe you letting them be free and do whatever they want will cause more harm to them. So you might have to stop them from doing that. Because even though freedom is a great thing, and I'm talking about Warhammer and in real life, even though like freedom to create all this stuff, it's a great thing. At the same time, there's always a downside to it. You get what I'm saying? And so you letting them do that, you letting them be all free and create whatever they want, and then it backfires on them. All of a sudden, they need help and all this and all that. When you're like, okay, you know what, bro? This technology that you guys are creating, these masters or whatever, we got to put an end to that right now. All right, we're stopping it. Oh, y'all don't want to put a stop to it. Okay, now we gotta put the fist down. It's kind of like a parent and kids relationship. Like you're gonna let your kids like, you know, express themselves and try new sports and try new hobbies and do whatever. Yeah, cool. Yeah, let them express themselves. But whenever it comes down to them, I don't know, like I'm not a parent, but whenever it comes down to, you know, to your kids wanting to do way too much, then you put the fist down and be like, okay, you're doing too much, cut it out. Because if I don't stop you right now, you're gonna grow up and try outlandish things. Not in the sense of like dreams or nothing. Like if you want, like if your kid says, oh, they want to be like a, I don't know, WWE wrestler, and you know that's great and all, amazing. Right? Just don't try moves on your siblings. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, don't try to power bomb your sister. You get what I'm saying? Or don't try to, like, you know, do a power driver on your little brother or something like that. You know, like, cool. You want to be a WWE wrestler when you get older? Okay. Well, there's other ways to do that. You know, start out by working out or, like, you know, lifting up something or whatever. You know, you want to do that. You want to help them in that way rather than, you know, your kids going through and just power bombing their siblings and trying to hit them with actual chairs and stuff like that. Like, you know, like, and hopefully I broke down, hopefully I exampled that in a good way so you guys can understand. I actually like that example, like how, like, if a kid wanted to be a wrestler, they could definitely aim to be a WWE wrestler, whatever, but just don't do the moves on your siblings, you know, like, don't, like, you know, so that's kind of like my way of like bringing things down. I think that was actually a pretty good example. I'm actually kind of proud of myself right there.
No longer by the imperial war machine, but the greater good's promise of peace and progress via assimilation. I'm mostly focusing on the negatives here, but all things considered, I think the vast majority of Warhammer fans would agree that if they were to suddenly be isekai'd into the 40K universe, they would pray they ended up on a Tau world rather than in the hive cities of the Imperium. Like I said before,
True.
However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows under the Tau's banners. A lot would be sacrificed, but by comparison, it's probably an overall better bet. Imperial citizens still may not have a lot of freedom, but at least they'll be safe, and their quality of life will be marginally better. That is, of course, until the ethereals recognize that humanity is actually the most dangerous species of all, and keeping them alive is continuing to influence the warp and empower chaos. At that point, all of humanity will likely be killed. But hey, it was fun while it lasted, for the greater good and all that.
Yeah. The ruinous powers? The ruinous powers. Who are these guys? Who are the ruinous powers? Who is
For
this?
mankind, any faction achieving total victory would be catastrophic. In many respects, that includes the Imperium itself, but we'll get into that a bit later in the video. However, one faction stands apart from the rest as a truly worst-case scenario, and that would be if the forces of chaos emerged triumphant in the grimdark future. Such an event would have profound consequences for the Milky Way and all of reality. Chaos is traditionally represented by the four chaos gods: Khorne, the god of bloodshed and murder; txeentch, the god of sorcery, lies, and treachery; nurgle, the god of life, death, plagues, and disease; and slaanesh, the dark prince of excess.
Freak.
If left with none to stand against them, the galaxy would be overwhelmed by rage, bloodlust, ambition, decay, despair, and indulgence. Order would completely collapse. The kingdoms of man and the Xenos empires would crumble and descend into anarchy. The entire galaxy would come to look exactly like the Eye of Terror, as the fabric of reality was torn apart and the warp and real space melded together into an eternal hellish existence. With chaos ascending to power, the god emperor of mankind would be destroyed or corrupted, an event that would shatter the Imperium and leave the million worlds of humanity isolated or consumed by rampaging warp storms. With no god to guide them, the faithful of humanity would be eradicated. All others would turn to the worship of the ruinous powers simply to survive. Species like the Tau, Tyranids, and Necrons, who under normal circumstances have little to no impact on the warp, and thus are rarely, if ever, influenced by chaos, would be unable to adapt to this new nightmare reality and would be wiped out.
Yeah.
With the Eldari, a couple of different things could possibly happen. The Webway would be destroyed under tides of demons, the Laughing God suffering the same fate as the Emperor. The Dark Eldar, having evolved to no longer be a psychic species like their cousins, would likely go the way of other, less warp-touched species, devoured wholesale by Slaanesh. In her gluttony, it is likely she would consume the souls of all of the other Eldari as well, but this would take some time. In the species' last few centuries of life, however, the remaining Eldari would become fully corrupted by chaos, and now existing in a universe flooded with warp energy where reality bends to the individual's will, these few surviving corrupted Eldar would see their abilities increase to ludicrous proportions, turning them into powerful warlords, the equivalent of demon princes, or even greater demons. In time, however, they too would end up becoming consumed by She Who Thirsts. This would end up bringing about the prophesized creation of Ynid, the Eldar god of death, though at this point it would be too little too late. Ynid would not be capable of standing against the empowered Chaos gods and would likely be wiped out without much effort. And the orcs? I'm just gonna be honest with you, I'm pretty confident they wouldn't be too bothered by all the changes. Sure, they would certainly notice that something was different considering the whole galaxy was on fire, but meh, when life gives you lemons and all that. They would either become the puppets of Khorne, unable to continue worshipping Gork and Mork as Khorne's influence increased 100-fold, or, and fair warning, I'm gonna go full tinfoil hat mode here, Considering that the orcs would without a doubt thrive during the chaos end times, Gork and Mork themselves may ascend to become the 5th and 6th chaos gods, due to the orcs' population ballooning out of control and the entire collection of them.
Is he talking about the two Krorks? Oh no.
Beginning to be warped by the mutating energies of the immateria. It's grossly oversimplifying things, but chaos by its very nature cannot exist without conflict. Thus, as a faction, it denies conventional definitions of ultimate victory. In turn, what we consider a chaos victory is nothing more than an evolution of the great game. A second edition, an expansion, hell even a sequel if you want to throw some game terms into the mix. In this new reality, Khorne's bloodlust, txeentch's scheming, Nurgle's decay, Slaanesh's indulgence, and whatever the hell Chaos, Gork, and Mork decide to get up to, would leave no room for resistance or recovery. The now 6 great powers would continue to wage never-ending war amongst themselves, but now on a grander scale than anything seen before. Reality would unravel into a horrific era of perpetual torment, madness, and suffering, with no hope of redemption.
The Elder. I'm gonna be honest. What do you call it? I'm actually like, I'm letting the video play a little bit because like obviously it's a long video and I don't want to like, you know, keep pause or whatever and make this like a 2-hour long video like I did the first, I don't know, 18 minutes. So I'm letting it play a little bit, but at the same time I'm gonna still like react and talk and stuff like that. So that's my bad. I just had to, you know, throw in that real quick. And I was actually moving my presents into this bag. I'm actually gonna put my presents that I have for my family under the tree after I'm done with this video. So
now, if the Eldar managed to achieve total victory, it not only would see the restoration of their ancient empire, but it would also bring about the unification of each different branch of Eldar society. The Craft Worlders, the Exodite colonies, the Harlequin troops, the Corsairs, even the denizens of the Dark City of Khorne would all maintain a prominent role within this restored kingdom. As the Eldar are a dying race and don't really have the numbers to achieve total victory the old-fashioned way, their victory would likely come about through the creation of Tyranid, via gathering the 5 Krone swords, thus overriding the clause that says the only way the nascent god could be birthed is through the death of the entire species. As is their purpose, Tyranid would then set about destroying Slaanesh first, thus ending the soul drain that plagues the Eldar race. This is all we really are told about the prophecy surrounding Tyranid's birth, but as has been demonstrated many times in the past, when a demon kills another demon, they can either absorb their soul, thus gaining all of their power and wisdom, or bind them into an incredibly powerful weapon. Although this isn't something that specifically stated could happen with a Chaos God, since we're in tinfoil hat territory, I don't see why the rules would be any different.
hey, what does that mean? Because he said this like for like the second time. What is tinfoil hat? He keeps mentioning that. Am I like uncultured or what? He keeps saying like I'm about to go full tinfoil hat. Like, what does that mean? Is that like a Warhammer saying, or is that just like a general like saying?
So you've got a god who's powerful enough to kill another god, and that god was at least strong enough to hold their own against the other 3 chaos gods and the emperor at the same time.
Oh wow.
These 2 entities fusing together would make them ludicrously powerful. I believe at this point Tyranid wouldn't stop here.
These boys
and would
fusing.
go about murdering the other chaos gods as well in order of strength according to the lore. First Nurgle, then txeentch, and then finally Khorne. And somewhere in between, they would likely kill the god emperor as well. After this, I believe Tyranid would aid the Eldar in resurrecting the rest of the Eldar pantheon that had previously been killed by Slaanesh, with the god of death taking their rightful place atop the hierarchy. During all of this, the Eldar would have risen to heights never before seen in terms of individual power. Their Farseers would be able to conjure warp storms of raw death energy generated by Tyranid that would make the ruin storm created by the Wordbearers during the Horus Heresy look like a stiff summer's breeze by comparison. The rest of their enemies would quickly be wiped out, and the Eldar would go about reshaping the galaxy in their image. Through superior Wraithbone technology, psychic mastery, and unparalleled artistry, they would usher in a utopia of cultural and technological marvels. So, sounds pretty good if you've got pointy ears. But for everybody else, not so much. Any that were not killed outright by the Eldari would face stark consequences for their actions against the Empire in the past. Members of the lesser races would be subjugated or destroyed. Institutions like the Imperium or the Tau Empire would be dismantled brick by brick, while species like the Tyranids and the orks would be completely eradicated. If any of the major players would be...
Bro, and every single possibility we heard, bro, the termites and the orcs are getting absolutely eradicated. That's all I heard. That's all I heard. Like, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad that everybody shares the same hate that I have for both of those, like, you know, groups.
Allowed to continue on, it would likely be the Tau, as they have worked closely with the Eldar many times in the past. And although the relationship isn't perfect, it's a lot better than every other faction. Like I mentioned before, their empire would be dismantled and their most powerful technology compensated, but I don't foresee the Eldar condemning them to extinction. The Necrons, however, would go down swinging to the last.
Oh,
There
snap.
is no conceivable way they would stand by and do nothing while their most ancient of enemies ascended to power once more.
Oh, wow.
One by one, their tomb worlds would detonate, and their legions would be reduced to ash until the final Pharaon was forced to bear witness to his once great dynasty, reduced to a kingdom of dust. But after this is all said and done, what will end up happening to the galaxy? Well, during the height of their power before, the Eldar had a practice where they would capture worlds noted for having pristine natural beauty. They would then not allow any other species to colonize on them and would basically maintain them as planet-sized nature preserves. These worlds were called the Maiden Worlds, and the goal was that they would eventually become inhabited by Eldar. I think we would see the Maiden Worlds go from numbering in their thousands to their billions, many of them finally seeing their first Eldar colonies established on their soil, while the rest ripened, waiting to be harvested. The Eldar are a long-lived species that seldom gives birth, so even after this point, their numbers would be considerably low, even millions of years after reclaiming the galaxy. So all of these maiden worlds would spend a considerable amount of time going uninhabited, and in an ironic twist, after an Eldar total victory, the galaxy would return to its natural, beautiful state. There just would be a lot fewer people left to appreciate it.
The Imperium.
Now, when it comes to the Imperium's total victory, it could potentially go in a lot of different ways. Some people believe that the God Emperor will return and lead humanity into the promised goal.
Okay. Do I think, here's the thing, right? Because I'm still a new booty. I'm still a Warhammer new booty. I know that the Emperor, I know he's basically like a bag of peas right now. And to be honest with you, do I think that Games Workshop will, like, you know, bring him back to like his full, like, not his full strength, or like, do I think they'll like bring him back to like this side or whatever? I don't think anytime soon. I think he's gonna stay a carrot until like the very end, until somehow miraculously he comes back as the Emperor or whatever. But I think they're gonna keep that man on that chair for a very long time. They're gonna make this stretch. I'm gonna be honest with you. I mean, who wouldn't? If you were like the head of like game studios, whatever, and you were like making decisions on the story, whatever, bro, I'm keeping this man, bro. I'm keeping him in a chair, bro. I'm not gonna kill him off because, like, you know, like if I kill the Emperor off, there'll be like sure, there'll be like a big thing or whatever, but at the same time, like boom, there goes like a big, I guess, vital part of the story. Now, if that was like truth or whatever, like you know, if the Emperor's, I think the Emperor's like a really big part of the story. But if he's not, then basically, you know what I said 10 seconds ago. But I think, bro, listen, I would keep him alive. I think they might bring him back to like his full, like, you know, glory or whatever. But I don't think now though. I think like once upon a time they'll do it.
Others believe that he will fully ascend to godhood and become a being of the Imperium, where he will there watch over and protect us from chaos. Some believe that the warp will be entirely destroyed along with the ruinous powers. Mankind instead now relying on the recently conquered webway for interstellar travel. I understand the mindset behind each of these ideas, and in small portions I think they're all correct, but I do take a few issues with them. First, even if the Imperium does away with warp travel and starts using the webway exclusively, the Immaterium can never truly be destroyed. It and our universe are not two separate places. They are two sides of the same coin. One cannot exist without the other. And so long as humanity exists, so too will negative emotions, which have a direct impact on the Sea of Souls. meaning that even if mankind and the Emperor managed to kill all of the forces of chaos and destroy each and every one of the chaos gods, it's very likely such threats will re-emerge sometime later in the future. And it might happen sooner than later, because without humanity's legion of enemies to fight against, the human population is going to very quickly start to balloon out of control, somehow even worse than it already is. Now, ultimately, we don't know what the Emperor's true intentions are, so for this analogy, I'm mostly going to take him off the table and assume that in his wisdom, he would choose to remain as a spiritual being rather than return to the physical universe. He can be a lot more help to mankind in the Imperium anyways. So it would seem then that the warp will mostly be under control and humanity will have no more wars to fight. But not so fast. That's only against aliens, mutants, and heretics. In reality, the vast majority of the Imperium's problems come from within the Imperium itself. And it's not even really close. Shifting alliances, ballooning populations, a continuous lack of resources, technological stagnation, and inter-faction conflict will still be pretty commonplace. The Imperium is not a unified whole. It is a techno-feudal theocracy comprised of thousands, if not millions, of different factions. Be they different sects of the imperial creed, different planets, different sectors, different branches of the administratum, etc., etc. Even today, the Imperium is riven with competing factions that all war against each other for resources and influence, sometimes openly and sometimes fought in the shadows in wars of espionage and sabotage. All of mankind's problems are not going to disappear. They're going to get exponentially worse.
I mean, well, here's the thing. I mean, that would make sense, though. You have to understand that, like, and I don't like to, I'm going to do it. I don't care. I'm going to, like, refer this to, like, real life as well, right? At the end of the day, Wes is right. Even though, like, cool, the Emperor is stopping, like, aliens and other, like, I don't know, groups or whatever from, like, harming the humans or whatever, bro, the humans are going to do what they do best and destroy themselves. I know that sounds absolutely depressing and just sad, but that's the truth, and that's the truth in real life. We absolutely destroy ourselves. We harm ourselves, and I don't mean that, YouTube. I'm not talking about like in that way. I'm saying in the way of like it's kind of like we as humans, bro. We shoot ourselves in the foot, and I don't think we do that on purpose. It's just like I think that's like the human like. I can't even explain it. I think it's like the human way, like to like, not to live life or whatever, but like, I don't know, humans are weird. Like, you ever just like, look around and be like, bro, humans are legit, like, humans are good, but at the same time, they're not. Like we're kind of like limbo, and like, you know what, bro, we're all trying. So I'm gonna be honest with you. I really don't, I don't disagree with like what Wes is saying about like the humans in Warhammer, how they'll like basically just like ruin it for themselves. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. Like I don't know. That's such like a tough place to like be. And, like I'm trying to understand it, and it's so crazy because like Warhammer and like real life and like our reality whatever have like so much in common. I don't know. Like this is why like I always like refer examples from like real life to like Warhammer. I don't know like why I do that, but I can kind of like see it in like that light. That makes sense.
As its population begins to skyrocket. From my perspective, in order for true peace to be achieved within the Imperium, in order for our species to enter its new golden age, it will have to ascend into something unrecognizable, something cold, logical, and mechanical. It is for this reason that I personally believe the most likely scenario to occur after an Imperial victory will in time reveal itself to be a victory for the machine, a victory for the Adeptus Mechanicus. So what would this actually look like then? Well, after the last of mankind's foes are slain and the Imperium has declared total and complete victory, they will begin their largest expansion effort yet, spreading out to every corner of the galaxy, wherein they establish new colonies on every world capable of supporting life, including those previously held by their foes. The dogmatic creeds that bind the Imperium for making considerable leaps forward in technology will still be in place. So, just like today, the only true form of advancement comes in the form of constructs created by recovered STCs from the dark age of technology, the vast majority of which being controlled, maintained, and studied by the Adeptus Mechanicus. With no more existential threats to face, the Martian priesthood will be able to dedicate more resources to their explorator fleets. Thus, the rate of STC recovery will advance exponentially, causing humanity to look more and more like the Dark Age of technology with every passing century. It is around this time that the Imperium would begin to resemble what we could consider a true Golden Age. Over time, it may even surpass the Dark Age of technology. But that's when the major cracks will begin to show, a prelude to the era of the machine. Although on paper, the priesthood of Mars is part of the Imperium, it's more accurate to think of them as an allied nation, considering the level of autonomy they are afforded and the amount of power they wield. The divide between these two factions will continue to grow deeper and more fractious with every new STC that the Mechanicus obtains. Sure, the Imperium will have numbers, but that doesn't really matter when the Mechanicus gains the ability to construct sun snuffers that are able to consume entire stars and mechnivores large enough to literally bite a planet in half. As the machine cult continues to grow in power and influence, the Red Planet will eventually surpass Terra as the new seat of humanity's power. Although Terra is a holy world, it is also a bloated carcass. Its population in the 41st millennium is said to be in the quadrillions, and it's estimated that some 80% of all of the resources generated across the Imperium's million worlds are brought back here to maintain this glorified monument to the weakness of flesh. This is something that will only get worse as the Imperium expands. Now, eventually, the Mechanicus will view Terra as a liability, no longer worth maintaining. They will see it as a cancerous growth that needs to be excised for the good of mankind. To say such a decision would spark insane backlash and immediate retaliation is a big understatement. So I believe this is a plan that may take millennia to come to pass. When the attack comes, the Mechanicus will have agents in place across the cosmos to quell any resulting rebellions. It'll be swift and decisive, the opening salvo in the machine cult's war on flesh. Considering that they own all of the STCs, all of the forge worlds, all of the technology, and all of the means of production, it is likely that there will be very few that could actually stand against them. At this point, many would likely support such actions. In the thousands of years they took to make their move, the machine cult would have been spreading propaganda and inducting larger and larger segments of the population into their teachings. Not only would Mars have become the most powerful planet in the galaxy, but it is also likely that at this point, the machine cult has surpassed the Imperial Creed as the dominant religion of mankind. After the Mechanicus has formally risen to power and has taken control of the Imperium in its entirety, its dogmatic teachings will continue to spread until all have been assimilated into the cult. All of our species will become further mechanically augmented, and after the last of the STCs is recovered, the Mechanicus will unlock the secrets of and make contact with the true machine god. It is at this point that humanity will begin to reach its apotheosis, where it will transcend flesh entirely and become fully mechanical. A galaxy-spanning supercomputer where every world and every individual person is another node in its vast interconnected network. The galaxy will grow cold and still, every planet dominated by towering servers and massive databanks. From the outside perspective, it will look as if the Milky Way is dead, but this couldn't be further from the truth. The galaxy is now a machine. If there is anything left of the human species, they will now exist as data ghosts echoing throughout the galaxy's servers. This is the ultimate fate of mankind, what will happen if they achieve victory. Or who knows, maybe the Emperor really will come back and he'll make everything better again and humanity will get its well-deserved happy ending. But what do you guys think of all this? Do you agree with any of my theories, or do you think I've totally missed the mark with this video? If your own personal theories differ from mine, what do you think would happen if each one of the factions was somehow able to achieve total victory? Again, don't take any of the theories I put forward in this video too seriously, none of them are canon. This was more of a thought experiment type video.